Oh, I better get the camera. Little dinky camera. And let's put it up on the tub of hand lotion. There, here. And get it positioned. That's better. Okay. Good morning and welcome. I have, thank you, Howard, in the chat. I'm still coughing. Last week it was just a sore throat. This week it's congestion in my lungs. Whoops, I stepped on my potato chips. Let's move them. I had to move them to find the camera. Whew. So I guess I need prayer too for this condition to resolve and improve. A couple days ago, I coughed so hard I hurt my back and my ribs. Hi, Don. I guess we should pray for Don too. He's sad. My son suffered a severe heart attack. Fortunately, he was in the emergency room when it happened. They used the paddles on him. He passed out and woke up at least a whole day later, maybe longer. He was having AFib, atrial fibrillation. That's where the muscles are not tensing up at the right time, so the blood was not getting into his heart to be pumped through his blood vessels to the rest of his body. He also has scarring in his heart muscles, and they don't know why. He doesn't seem to have any of the conditions that would cause that. And wow, it will shorten his life. He seems to think that, the glare is gone, but now it's dark. Oh well. He seems to think that he should just enjoy what he has left of his life, but if he doesn't keep his job, he loses his health insurance. I don't know what to tell him, but for now he's using up all his sick time and all his vacation time because he has to rest. So my aching back seems minor in comparison, but you know, what I fear is that I'm losing the ability to walk. That's not good. I have managed to get to the bathroom and the kitchen. Yesterday, I managed to mail some important things at the post office, but it's getting bad. Well, Dawn, sitting and sleeping a lot. Patches knows that I have kitty cat treats. Don't you? Say hello to your adoring fans because Tora's outside playing. Now get back on your chair. Uh, there, here, have a treat. Yeah, Patches slept on me, not with me, on me, all night and kept me warm. It's been cold, but it's supposed to start getting warmer today for several days. No, you stop it. You're a bad kitty. Quit it. See, she hasn't learned. Ah! She hasn't learned to keep her claws to herself. So when she hops on my lap, the claws are out. No, you get off. Yeah, go sit with your sister. Hi, Tutu. Oh, Tutu's over in the window. That's 3CPO. See, number 2 and number 3 got names. Tutu, because she reminds me of a ballerina. And 3CPO, because that's all I could think of to go with the number 3. Yeah, you kitties are cute. Go away. Oh, man. So, my son especially needs prayer. I was planning to do some yard cleanup during the warm weather, but now it looks like I can't. I'll have to get someone to help. Meanwhile, Kevin McCarthy got kicked out as House Speaker. And the way the House of Representatives works, he could end up replaced by a Democrat, even though the Republicans have a small majority. They have to find someone that all the Republicans will vote for, and quite a few Republicans are angry that Kevin McCarthy was kicked out. I'd like to see the House of Representatives actually do something. Although getting the information out to the American people is a good thing, they're kind of biting their own tails by not taking action. Now, we know that a criminal referral against a Democrat will have no effect in this administration. The Attorney General will not prosecute, but they ought to do it anyway. And the Attorney General ought to be impeached. Leave Biden alone. He's an old man. Go after Mayorkas over the border and what's his name? I keep forgetting the Attorney General's name. Garland, for focusing on political prosecutions while murderers spend a couple hours being booked and then get tossed out on the street to kill again. It's ridiculous. California just ended cash bail, so if you can't afford bail, it doesn't matter unless they can establish a clear and present danger. If they're let out, they get let out no matter what the crime was. So they go, hey, there's no consequences. I'll go out and commit more crimes. Our local sheriffs do what they can. There's a trick they like to use. If the crime happens on a Thursday night, they don't record it till Friday because they can keep them over the weekend until they see a judge on Monday. Isn't that cool? So if you're a criminal, don't commit your crimes on Thursday or Friday or Saturday. Sunday's a wobbler. Oh, Don was listening to John Lennon's Give Peace a Chance. Yeah, that was anti-Vietnam War. Um, God. Oh, Lord. Now I got hiccups again. I wish I had better news about my son and myself. I suspect that I will heal, but he is really, needs his morale boost. He's only 50 and they told him he's going to die. Well, not today, not tomorrow, but at an early age. Huh. Thank you, Dawn, for prayers. Thank you all for the prayers. At least he did not have hardening of the arteries, and he does not have high blood pressure. We just don't know what is going on. Well, I don't know. My water's almost gone. Let me go refill it. Hobble, hobble. Hi, kitties. Hi, cats. Dum-dee-dum. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. Oh, Lord. I get a little nervous and self-conscious when I ask for prayer and the people pray out loud right in front of me. I don't think that's, uh, I just don't think it's right. The Lord said to go to your closet and pray, but on the other hand, Daniel opened the window so everyone could see him praying after the uh, king made it illegal to pray. So, I don't know. Yeah, music is good for the soul. I'm trying to remember which music I listen to and, to lift my spirits. Um, when it's raining, I choose songs about the rain, like Rhythm of the Rain, or It Never Rains in California. It pours, man, it pours. Oh, Elvis's gospel music. Yeah, that's good stuff. Oh, yeah. Credence. Have you ever seen the rain? Actually, I have seen the rain coming down on a sunny day. It's called an August monsoon, and it'll get your shoulders wet, but it never touches the ground because it evaporates in the heat. Uh, Creedence Clearwater Revival. They used to hang out at Green River. They even wrote a song about it. Green River is actually in, I think it's Riverside County, but it's on the border with Orange County where the Prado Dam is. There's this golf course and club, uh, social club called Green River. Hi, Sequentia. Ah, ah, ah. When I was younger, I used to be able to type in the dark without looking at the keyboard. I learned typing in a summer school class between eighth grade and ninth grade. I had that privilege mostly because mom didn't like me and she had a way of getting me out of the house and out of, away from her. You see, I was named after dad's mother, mom's mother-in-law, and I did inherit some of her characteristics. Although she was a blonde and I was a redhead, had auburn hair, some of my habits, just natural instincts, were like my grandmother's. Oh, the little bumps on the F and J keys. Well, typewriters didn't have that when I was a kid. There weren't any computers. You just put your hands in the starting position and type away. I did have to look at the numbers. I always had trouble with numbers. Let me see. F And J, yeah, they got little bumps. Okay. But I have no reason to know how to type anymore. Oh, Don says Jack Kerouac wrote on the road on a big scroll. Ah, pen and paper. Yeah, even now I usually start my stories with pen and paper in a composition book. Ah, wow, it's kind of cold today, but I'm leaving the door open because Tora went outside. She doesn't know how to demand to come in. The kittens will pummel the door with their paws and meow. Tora just sits there and waits. Even when it isn't latched and she could easily push it open, she just sits there and waits. Let me push the door partly shut. Come on. Come on back. Let me walk. Okay. Because there's a breeze and the door being partly shut will baffle the breeze, make it not hit me at least. Oh, I think my heating pad turned itself off. They only run for half an hour. I guess in case you fall asleep with it. I have an electric blanket. I'm gonna have to start sleeping with it. It's because winter came early. It's just barely autumn, and we have winter weather. So I want my global warming. And of course, because it's been incredibly cold, it's now climate change. Maybe they were right in the 1960s when they told us we were entering a new ice age. Actually, we're still in the ice age. What we might get is glaciation, advancing glaciers. I doubt that we can stop it, but we can learn how to manage our lives in a colder weather. I mean, how many SUVs were we driving in the medieval warm period and the little ice age when I think it was in Charles Dickens's time the Thames River froze and they held ice festivals on the river because it was frozen. In the medieval warm period, crops could be grown much farther north than before. But in the Little Ice Age, crops failed all over the place. Hi, Oswald. Come on, I pressed the W. It didn't type it. Guy, my back is killing me. I had to go to the ER twice, once in 22 and once in early 23, because I thought my back was broken, and it kind of was. Some bones were cracked. And that's pretty much what I feel like now, but since all they did was torture me for 4 hours, and give me an Aleve, which I could have bought at Rite Aid. Uh, I'm not going to the hospital this time. The one time I had to, I was lying in the recliner chair and I couldn't get up from it. I should have just had the paramedics get me up and then leave me at home. If you aren't dying or unconscious, you can refuse to go to the hospital. Anyway, this time, see, I can't take the really awesome pain pills, the opioids. Even tramadol makes me vomit, but maybe if I had an antiemetic with it, anti-vomiting medication, maybe I could tolerate it. But I don't like getting loopy. Oh, yeah, I was allowed to take one pain pill at the hospital, but he couldn't prescribe more than like three or four. And when I went to the pharmacy, they didn't have my prescription because I was at the Rite Aid in Fontana and the prescription was at Lake Arrowhead. And when I finally got to Lake Arrowhead, I asked him why they blocked that prescription, and they said, it isn't covered by your insurance. And that was a muscle relaxant, I think. Yeah. Anyway, um, I asked him, well, how much does it cost? And they said $7. So I bought it. Well, the other day, oh, it was last week when I was actually able to walk. I think it was Tuesday because I had the coughing fit on Wednesday and killed my back. I went to a local pharmacy and it was covered by my insurance. Yeah, it wasn't tramadol, it was the muscle relaxant. Ah. Huh. Go figure. And yeah, I've mixed up two hospital visits in my mind. It was the one in 22 where they prescribed tramadol and it made me vomit. So the second visit to a different hospital, they prescribed Aleve. I refused it. I'm like, I'll just buy some, okay? Waste my insurance coverage on an over-the-counter medication. Now I know it's a more powerful dose when it's prescribed, but I take one, and if I'm still in pain an hour or two later, I'll take a second one. Oh, poor Don had a bruise on his face. You punched yourself? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. The doctor thought you were a victim of abuse. Well, you're abusing yourself. You need to walk away. Either she'll decide she does want you because you walked away, or you'll find someone who does want you. Either way, you win by walking away. You told him you walked into a tree. Yeah, that's why he thought you were abused. Oh, I fell down the stairs. Oh, I walked into a wall. Those are always lies. Oh, well. Anyway, my son, when he was able to, called me 2 days in a row from the hospital and talked for hours, but he was loopy from his medication and his trauma, and he kept telling me the same things and so forth. And yeah, if you tell the doctor you punched yourself, you might end up in the psych ward. So maybe it was best for him to think you were abused. um, anyway, I got the gist of it. He called me the day before the implant surgery for the defibrillator and the pacemaker. And then he called me after the surgery. And a lot of the time I couldn't tell what he was saying, but I just let him talk because he needed to talk. And his wife couldn't be there all the time. Yeah, I do stretches at Sequentia. The chiropractor gave me this sheet of paper that explains them and has drawings. It does help. That's why I'm able to walk to the kitchen and the bathroom. But frankly, I don't know that pain pills would help very much. When I broke my leg, I think that was 2010, the doctor prescribed Vicodin, and then he prescribed an antiemetic to stop the vomiting. And my leg still hurt. I just didn't care. It was weird. So maybe opioids are not right for me anyway. Well, I don't have osteoporosis in my back, but see, the discs are getting compressed. And that's what's causing the problems that I'm having. My hips have osteopenia, which is, you're on the way to osteoporosis, but I think all the supplements that you guys have recommended, and some of you have even sent them, before COVID, the doctors at the clinic told me I had osteoporosis, and they wanted me to take that awful pill that you take once a week and then stand up for an hour, and it burns like the dickens. I told them I couldn't tolerate them, and that's true. And it turns out that once you start taking that one, you can never quit taking it. You will fall apart if you quit. It's kind of like you can't quit heroin because of the withdrawals, only worse. Your bones start breaking. Well, Dawn, you can do your stretches while you're listening to music. Sometimes with a good slow song, I do the stretches to the rhythm of the music. Oh, I kind of like the Mamas and the Papas. California Dreamin'. And there's one that Mama Cass sang a solo on. I can remember some of the words. Oh, Dream a Little Dream of Me. I used to sing it to my son when he was little and he was still sitting on my lap in the rocking chair. And one day, one evening, he said, "Shut up, Mom." When he was a little older, he said I shouldn't have listened to it. He was just being a kid. I do a breathing exercise for my lungs that I learned from one of these natural doctors. You take a breath in very slowly and hold it through your nose if you can, but if you can't, you can take it in through your mouth. You hold it for a second or two and then you push it out hard through your mouth. And if you have congestion, do that 2 or 3 times and it'll push it up into your throat where you can cough it out. Dang thing went out again. Mm. I got a nice donation from L. Freeman, so I was able to buy cigarettes. Otherwise, I'd be jittery and having uh, withdrawals from cigarettes. Actually, it was more than enough, so I was able to keep the internet on and stuff like that. If I ever disappear, it's because I couldn't afford the internet anymore. The house payment always comes first. I'm kind of stuck financially. If I save up enough to pay the property taxes on my home, it puts me over the limit and they cancel my Medi-Cal and my food stamps. And so that's one reason why I can't leave California. The Sacramento government has this deferment. You can defer your property taxes, but eventually you have to pay them. If you die or sell your house, they have to be paid. See, my property taxes are $3,000, and you're only allowed to have $2,000 in savings, and they include your checking accounts. When they calculate how much money you have on hand. So I did get canceled during COVID when I got the stimulus check, but after I spent it all, they put me back on. I'd rather have enough money to just pay my bills. Oh, Don says his parents help him. Oh, You're good at poker, but not at handling money. Well, last week when I went to the mini mart around the corner, I used a credit card and um, it was declined. I didn't realize that the things I bought on Amazon for the cats, cat food and cat litter, because they're so hard to carry home, they're heavy. Um, well, they had um, taken up most of the money on the credit card. So I paid cash. I just happened to have cash on me. Hi, Oswald. Do I have any oral hygiene tricks for smokers who are allergic to dentists? I think in my life, the dentists have done more harm than good, especially with fluoride treatments. Oral hygiene. Well, I don't have teeth anymore. I have full dentures, so maybe I'm not the best. But there is a mouthwash called Amasan. I'll type it in. Amosan. It comes in little packets. You drop it in cold water and it fizzes kind of like Alka Seltzer. And you swish it in your mouth, but don't swallow it, spit it out. It basically makes hydrogen peroxide, or which of course releases oxygen, and oxygen kills most germs. Oh, yeah, Don says you can whiten your teeth with coconut oil. Yeah, I don't know whether that does any good for the health of your teeth, but apparently people say it works. But my dentist told me to use Amasen, and it did keep my original teeth going for a few years. But I was doomed from the start. Even though I was a full term baby, I was underweight. I, I didn't weigh enough. And I had a very mild case of what they called, can't think of the word. Well, anyway, my tailbone was not calcified. I could not sit up straight. And I've suffered a number of conditions due to malnutrition growing up. I would have killed for a piece of fresh fruit. We usually had bananas and sometimes apples, nothing else. Oh, with dinner, we'd get a couple slices of canned peaches. That was dessert. But basically, for the first 10 years of my life, I was not allowed to go in the kitchen and find something to eat. I'd get a brutal spanking if I tried it. And if I was lucky, I got cold cereal for breakfast, but there was nothing for lunch. And by the time dinner came around, I was miserable. When I started going to school, it was better. I'd get cold cereal for breakfast and lunch, a sack lunch usually at school, a bologna sandwich, or what I liked better, a peanut butter sandwich, and some milk in a little thermos. Hi, Mylene. prayers from France. Thank you. Anyway, by the way, I don't suck the smoke into my lungs. I puff on it. It still isn't good to smoke, but I've been doing it for 50 years. More than 50 years. And I tried all kinds of, patches, lozenges, etc. And I'm not going to quit. It isn't just the smoke. It isn't just the nicotine. It's the whole process, the ritual, if you will. France, the south of France especially, is beautiful. I'm not into the big cities. Anywhere in the world, they're bad for your health, mental and physical. Especially now, like San Francisco, there's poop all over the streets. Drug addicts and people who need mental health care and the criminals who prey on them. It's horrible. The kittens are making a lot of noise, running around and distracting me. Patches, you're silly. She jumped over the bag of potato chips. I once had a cat named Joseph. Wonderful cat, but he was kind of crazy. We had a braided rug, so these braided ropes were coiled around to make a rug. And he would jump over it. He was afraid of it. I think he thought it was a snake. He also jumped over the garden hose. So I'm pretty sure he thought they were snakes. Oh, Don Burnham recommends a movie from 1956 called The Red Balloon, about a little boy who finds a red balloon. He says it's on YouTube and HBO. I'll have to look that up. Hi, Tora. It's about time you came to say hello to your adoring fans. Let's move the camera and see if I can get Tora to say hello. There she is, eating her treats. Okay, let's put the camera back. Ow, it hurts to lean forward. I have not turned the lamp back on. That's the sunshine coming in through the window. No, We had Joseph around 1982 or 3. So he's not named after Joseph Farrell because I had never heard of him at that time. He was named after Joseph in the Bible with the coat of many colors, and my son named him. Although he was just black and white striped, he had a pretty coat. What? I can't pick you up. My back has gone out. Okay. More treats for Tora. See, I took some out of the bag earlier so the kittens would not hear me opening a bag of treats. Because even if they're outside playing, they will come running in for treats. Humbug. What? What? You want more? Okay. But you can't have them on my keyboard. My son appreciates your prayers, and so do I. I wish I had better news, but it is what it is. Tora. She's on my little desk thing, headed toward my keyboard. Say hello to your adoring fans. And get off my desk. Oh, 3CPO has figured out that there are treats here. Get off my desk. Go on. Get over there. Here. Yeah, I know 3CPO is scheming on them. You better get him quick. Go on. Today, 3CPO got him. One of the kittens. Come here, you. God! Don't knock over my water with your tail. Oh, I got her on my lap. Yes, I did. Get off me. You're heavy and it hurts. There, that's all the treats in the world. You don't get any more. Oh, by the way, I do have an inhaler. I pointed at the screen instead of the camera. Albuterol. I cannot use Advair. It gives me a painful sore throat, and they said, oh, stop using it. We have a high pollen count. I've been watching the alerts every day, and it keeps saying high pollen count, so that's probably why my lungs keep getting congested. I didn't have this problem when I was younger. Pollen didn't, I might get a little sore throat, but it didn't knock me out like this. Hi, dear kitty. Oh, it's 3CPO. She's very timid. But she thinks she might get treats. Look, you're running out of treats and you don't get any more till tomorrow. Hi, Patches. Patches thinks being cute gets her treats. It probably does. Where's Tutu? Oh, she ran outside. Yeah, silly kitty. Go and play, you cats. So McCarthy is out as Speaker of the House, but the way things look right now, he'll probably get reinstated because the only other candidates that the only other candidate that would get enough votes is a Democrat. I don't know. But they say that he was making deals with the Democrats behind their backs secretly. Here you go, 3. Look what I found. I found 2 stray treats on my desk. Okay. I'm losing it. I think I'm done for today, but I do thank you all for your prayers. I am pray for this country. The United States is not only in decline, it has gone nuts, especially in California and New York. New York has so many migrants, they don't have enough money and hotel rooms to take care of them. So their solution is to ask the federal government for more money. Oh, sorry, Mylene. She says it's the same in France. What? Well, if you're in France, it's probably me, Lane, not Mylene. Me, Lane? Or me, something like that. Patches, get out of my coffee. It's mine. She says, well, if you're going to be that way. Yeah. The federal government doesn't have any more money. Their entire budget is borrowed money. Well, actually, coffee is bad for cats. It can give them a heart attack. Yeah, you. In California, if you shoplift and it's under $1,000, they don't even arrest you. They just write a ticket and tell you to appear in court. The same as if you drove your car a little too fast. And in some of the big cities, mobs, dozens of people are looting stores. And if they were hungry, they would be looting the grocery store. But no, they're looting Nordstrom's and Apple stores and Target and Rite Aid and CVS. CVS is closing 300 stores every year for 3 years across the nation, but mostly on the West Coast in the big cities. A total of 900 stores. They've already closed 300 this year, and they're going to keep closing 300 a year for 2 more years. And they talk about the shopping experience. And oh, you can buy things online. They don't mention the fact that entire stores were emptied out by mobs who broke the doors and windows and came in and took everything. Yeah, some cats eat vegetables. Most cats will eat cantaloupe and other melons like honeydew. Mine don't. They'll sniff them and lick them, and that's about it. Anyway, I'm glad I'm in a small town with mostly good people, but some, they know who it is. A homeless man goes around to the small mom and pop shops and kicks in the door. He doesn't go inside, he doesn't steal anything, so the police can't take him to jail. It's a misdemeanor. And the jails are full anyway. So instead of building some more jails or prisons, California just decides to let people out before their sentence is finished and use diversion to avoid putting more people in jail. Did it ever occur to them that there would be less crime if criminals were not out walking down the street? What's my main source of news? Um, I prowl around mostly YouTube. I prowl around the internet and I get emails. There's Dr. Steve Turley. I avoid Fox News, but I watch Newsmax, and I actually do kind of here and there listen to the networks like NBC, CBS, ABC. The smaller channels in Los Angeles, it would be 5 and 11. In San Diego, it's channel 8, I think. And with the internet, I can get the San Diego News Channel. Let's see, I listen to these things like Black Conservative Perspective and something with Reckless, but he spells it with 2 Z's on the end, like this, Recklezz. And I've been listening to Victor Davis Hanson, not as often because his interviews are an hour long, and I'm a victim of the 30-second generation. If it's more than 10 minutes, I don't have time for it. Oh, and I've been listening to the various channels from Hawaii talking about Maui. We don't know what happened. The odds are that the fire was caused by an arsonist tossing flares into tall grass and not a laser beam or something like that. But the response to it was criminal. They closed the only evacuation route by parking police cars across the road. They didn't have any water for the firefighters. No water at all. And now they won't let people go back and see, the remnants of their homes. Some of them had like a fireproof safe, and they'd like to see if it survived so they get their valuables out of it. And no. And when people started taking photos, they put up a big black fence so you can't even see where the fire swept through. Lahaina and part of another town, I forgot the name of it. Oh yes, Thomas Sowell, I listened to him as well. Victor Davis Hanson, Thomas Sowell, and of course that nurse practitioner in England, Dr. Joseph Campbell. I first listened to him because his name reminded me of the Joseph Campbell who talked about myth, like the hero's journey and stuff like that. I think it's Joseph, the nurse guy. Anyway, he talks about medicine. And yeah, he's not an MD doctor, but he has a PhD in his field, and he has taught university courses in mostly immunology, how your immune system works to fight off disease. He's a good one, and he's had a couple of videos taken down, and he's been warned not to do that. It's disinformation. Science is never settled. It's always a debate followed by more research. Take the case of Darwin's evolution. Even the staunchest supporters of evolution admit that Darwin didn't quite get it right, and some car whizzed by going fast and loud. They're constantly doing new research to kind of improve Darwin's theory. Oh, yes, of course. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Network. We have to stay positive and strong, yes, and peaceful. My biggest fear is that there will be a real insurrection, which will give the government an excuse to crack down hard on all of us. If you think, the isolation and masks and stuff during COVID was bad, just wait and see if we have. I'm surprised they haven't done it in response to the riots we already have in big cities. But I guess those people are Democrats. And don't count on Republicans to do the right thing. Most of them are part of the system. We call them rhinos, Republican in name only. Oh, Trump in New York got 80% of his case thrown out because it was past the statute of limitation. And even the judge, who hates Trump, was mad at the prosecutor for wasting his time with evidence related to things that cannot be prosecuted. The statute of limitation has told. And it's a weird trial. It's by the government prosecutor, but it's not a criminal case. I keep forgetting words. But he can't have a jury. He wants a jury trial, and it's not allowed because it's not a criminal case. Yeah, the next election in 2024, no matter who wins, there will be riots. There will be demonstrations for sure, and probably riots. They keep telling us we're headed to World War III. Well, I think we're headed to civil war. Some organized or slightly organized group will rise up, and it just isn't good. We must remain peaceful. We'll only give the evil ones an excuse to suppress us even more, throw people in prison, kill people even. Ah, yes, Don Burnham, the dove of peace. Yeah, the United Nations is a pretty toothless organization when you really look at it. They do a lot of bad things too. But, there's the usual suspects like George Soros and Henry Kissinger. I can't believe Kissinger is still alive. I checked, he is 100 years old. Jeez. I'm not for either political party. I mean, I liked Jimmy Carter, and it isn't really his fault that he was ambushed and undercut by the establishment in Washington, D.C. King Charles, now that's interesting. Howard thinks King Charles will be involved. I don't know. But we don't need more fiery but mostly peaceful protests. Especially if the criminals involved don't get arrested, let alone prosecuted. Okay, I can kind of read French. I think foie is liver, isn't it? Apparently, it's also a cuss word. Let's see. Do I think that a fund is not a battle for the good and against the bad. A version, an earthly version of something. I gotta resort to Google. Times. Interesting. But pâté de foie gras is goose liver. Oh, it has an E on the end, not an S. Got it. French confuses me. An earthly version of this time, or these times? Battle of good versus evil, a global version. Oh, mondial is global of this time. Okay. Oh, Stand By Me by Ben E. King is a great song, Don says. I'm certain that we are engaged in a battle of good versus evil, at least on the non-material stage. God, angels, the devil. And the worst, hi IB. I studied French, but I was not good at it. Anyway, yeah, we are definitely in a spiritual warfare. And the worst thing that can happen to you is for you to become like him. That's something Philip K. Dick used to say, my husband. He said that the worst thing about fighting the Nazis in World War II is that the Allies had to become so much like the Nazis, cruel and you know, just as evil as they were. Mylene is not good at English. Most Americans are not good at English. I used to have Chinese students when I taught at the university, and some of them would say, "I'm sorry, my English is not good." And I always told them, "Your English is better than my Chinese." I don't know any Chinese, Mandarin or Cantonese, or any of the other dialects. Mandarin and Cantonese are kind of like England English versus American English versus Australian English and then South African English. I once had an Arab student who learned English in England, and I could not understand some of the things he said because he learned English in England. But no, for example, we have a French word that we use for a small group of people who are exclusive. Only the best people get in. It's CLIQUE, and it's pronounced clique. And they're even on the news where they're supposed to be college educated, they call it clique. And they can't spell it right either. They spell it CLICK. A click is what you do on the internet. You click things. A small exclusive group is a clique. And I know enough French to know that. There's all these brand names like Clinique, Fantastique. You'd think they'd get a clue. Ralph from The Simpsons is helping. Yeah. I haven't watched The Simpsons in a long, long time. You know, they began as just a very short clip on a variety show, and I've forgotten the name of the show and the host of the show. My accent is cute. Okay. I'm good at German, but I've forgotten most of the vocabulary. I don't know the words anymore. Tracy Ullman, thank you, Don. Yeah, The Simpsons would be just a short clip on her show. Now I'm really winding down. And I've probably said things that'll get me a strike on YouTube, but I don't care. Some things need to be said. There is evil in this world. As Trump said about Ukraine, I want people to stop dying. And I still worry about what Trump will do, but we already know what Biden will do because he's done it. And he runs these ads where he says we have to finish the job. Nobody can buy a house because of the interest rates on loans. And a lot of them can't even qualify for a loan due to inflation. Gasoline in California is anywhere from $6 to $8 a gallon. And I know it's even more, it's twice that in France. But in France, your transportation system actually works. I can't get to and from the places I need to go on a bus. We don't really have trains for traveling within the city. Trains are for long distance, like Los Angeles to San Francisco. And you still have to take a bus from Los Angeles to go to the next train stop. It isn't in Los Angeles. They don't have one. The Metrolink goes from town to town and eventually to either Los Angeles or San Diego, but the cars are filthy. You don't even want to open the door to the restroom. And last time I rode on a Metrolink train, someone stole my purse. I was left in a town where I don't live with no ID and no credit card, no bank card. It was awful. I did have my library card and a couple other things like my card that says I can teach K through 12, but I didn't have my driver's license. And of course, they cleaned out my bank account in less than half an hour. Macron privatized the public services, so transportation is very expensive and few in number. Well, that's not good. However, I think California is bigger than France. We often need to travel 1,000 miles or more, and the airports are horrible. You feel like you're in prison, and in a way you are. Let's see. Etsy Quentia says apparently a lot of words in English that came from France are originally Latin. Yeah, most European languages are that English borrowed from are originally Latin. But I've been told that French is not a Romance language. But I think it is. But some experts say no, it isn't. I know German is not, strictly speaking, a Romance language, but knowing Latin will help you understand German. But it really comes from the language of the um, pagans who lived there before Rome conquered them. And the German people of today are descendants of the tribe known as the Franks. And the people of France today are mostly descendants of the Germani. So they've got it backwards. Germany should be France, and France should be Germany if you base it on the genetics of the people. Yeah, the Italian language is a little like Spanish, but it gets me confused because the same word in Italian does not mean the same as the Spanish word. They just sound the same. Oswald says his sister has a PhD in Romance language and teaches French at the university level. German actually has more in common with Greek than with Latin. Alsace-Lorraine is the best of both worlds, Oswald says. Yes, it is. Germany and France have fought over that lush valley, a wine-growing region, for centuries. Let's see, didn't Philip K. Dick think that the Roman Empire never ended? Yeah, it isn't just that they continue through language. That started among scientists in both the late Middle Ages and the early Enlightenment, because they all spoke different languages, but they could all learn Latin. So they would write their scientific papers in Latin so everyone could read them. Um, the Romans themselves looked down on their own language. It was too simple. And in business and government, they would use Greek, the Greek language, because it was so much more sophisticated and nuanced. So they felt that financial contracts and Roman law would be much better defined and specified in Greek. And yes, the empire never ended, it just changed its name. And the Romans borrowed their idea of empire from the Greeks. The city of Rome was founded by a Greek, well, a Trojan, but the Trojans were Greek colonists. And the Greeks borrowed from Persia. Persia conquered Babylon and adopted many of their policies. Babylon had overturned Ur, I think it's called Ur, U-R. And somewhere in there, oh no, the Babylonians originally were not an empire and were conquered by the Assyrians. And then they fought back and kicked out the Assyrians and became an empire. I think the Assyrians probably borrowed from the people of Turkey, who are not called Turks. It got the name Turkey fairly recently. The Anatolians. When the Greek Empire was falling apart and there were fights between who got to be the emperor or king, Anatolia took the wrong side, and the Greek guy they supported lost, so they were smashed by the guy who won. But today, or in the 20th century, Phil thought that the United States was the new Roman Empire, that Washington, D.C. is Babylon. You can give it any name you want, it's still empire. An empire is wrong. Yes, the Romans built roads and bathhouses and introduced coins, money, and trade. They did those good things so people would not rebel against them, but they were still fascists ruling over a foreign land through military force. And what they did to, not sure I can pronounce it right, Boadicea, one of the woman who led a very strong tribe in England, what they did to her was, no other way to say it, criminal. I think it's spelled like this, Boedicia. Now, what did the Romans ever do for us? Well, roads, bathhouses, coins, trade. But it was all for their own benefit. In North Africa, they starved the people who grew all the wheat and other grains that Rome needed to provide bread for the people of Rome, so they would not rise up and kick them out. Bread and circuses, gladiators in the Colosseum, and free bread from the government. Don was a kid in the 90s. I was in my 40s. But I still thought I was a kid. Well, he thought the empire might collapse in the same way as Rome. Only this time they seem to be doing it on purpose. Depriving farmers of water and fertilizer in the name of climate change. Farmers built this nation, and many of the small family farmers who built this nation were the slaves who had been freed after the Civil War. In other words, black people. I don't know. I guess they really were African Americans. They came from Africa. And they were promised 40 acres and a mule. And most experts don't bother to mention they were also promised a shotgun. Some of them got it, many didn't. Oh, the 90s were crazy. George H.W. Bush, the daddy Bush, said, "Read my lips, no new taxes." And then he signed a bill that increased our taxes. So, of course, Bill Clinton won the next election. And yeah, I think he's evil, but his policies were not that bad. And they had to kind of scuttle Hillary care. There were all kinds of jokes floating around, like under the medical insurance plan from Hillary, a CAT scan would be someone holding a cat over you and moving the cat back and forth. But then we got Obamacare. Bush Sr., this aggression will not stand. I believe he was the first to send our soldiers to Iraq. The U.S. diplomats kind of baited Saddam Hussein into attacking not Ukraine, a smaller country that was actually stealing Iraqi oil. Because it's underground, they just kind of ran their pipe sideways. Qatar? They say it's pronounced gutter, but I don't like to say that because gutter is the side of the road where the dirty water flows into the storm drain. Kuwait. That sounds right. Yeah, thank you, Don. Um, I think it's Kuwait that boasts the hotel skyscraper that's a mile tall. I don't want to be in that when the wind blows. I think you spelled it right, Don. We spell it with a K, but I think they spell it with a Q. Kuwait. Ugh. Anyway, that's what's happening in presidential elections now. In Rome, they would kill all the pretenders to the throne. When the emperor died, the elites would choose one guy and kill everybody else who had a claim to the throne. That's how why have I forgotten his name? Well, that's how Nero got in. That's how Claudius got in. That's how Tiberius got in. The elites chose the successor. And that's what's happening in D.C. It was Bill Clinton's turn. It was Obama's turn. It was Hillary's turn. And whoops, she lost? Russia did it. Oh, I'm sure Russia does interfere in our elections. as much as they are able, and so does China and even England. But Hillary was the golden child, and Trump got elected. So they shoved Biden in. And look how our country is faring now. You can't buy a steak. It takes a whole week's food budget to buy one steak. And don't eat crickets. Please don't eat crickets. There's scientific, peer-reviewed, published papers showing that crickets are very bad for humans. They can make you deathly ill. The VP's first name? Oh, it's either Camel or something like it. Kamala? I don't think she knows how to pronounce it. No, I don't understand it. Oh, now I do. You shouldn't have mentioned that it was a dirty joke. Now I know. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I like listening to crickets. I heard some last night. uh, oh well. Kamala is not really African American. I guess she's black, but one parent was from India and the other was from an island in the Caribbean, maybe Jamaica. But she was fortunate, I guess, to be born in the United States, so she's a citizen. I don't want to see the dang dirty jokes at Sequentia and Oswald. But the man on the street interviews that you see on YouTube, people, including black people, don't like our vice president. They just don't. Yeah. Well, Oswald, the Ukrainians pronounce it Kiev, and the Russians pronounce it Kiev. But I don't care. Sometimes you just have to quit caring about the little things. Well, the world might go into a golden age if enough people wake up and take the side of good versus evil, even if it hurts. Well, most people are waking up, not the ones who go loot all the stores. Do you know that San Francisco has entire blocks in the business district that are abandoned? They're empty. No department stores, no offices. Um, the place to buy things is on those little kiosks on the street where the people who looted the stores are selling the stuff cheap. Hi, Dora. It's the wrong time to pester me. Ah. Do I have a license to be this optimistic? Oh, does Don have a license to be this optimistic? Well, we have a choice. We can let it go down the drain, or we can work to build it back up. I hope to build it back up. The big corporations are voting with their feet. They're shutting down CVS and Target. And does Walmart even exist anymore? I know Kmart is gone. I guess Walmart still exists, but they're shutting down stores. Starbucks is shutting down 6 or 7 stores in San Francisco. Well, this isn't terribly different from when the Roman Empire fell apart. By the way, Alaric, that pagan who didn't believe in Jupiter and Juno and Apollo, when he attacked Rome, it was because he had a strong right to the throne. They should have named him emperor. But because he was a pagan who didn't believe in the gods of Rome, they wouldn't have it. I think we're already in the darkness, Dawn, and we're beginning to shine a light. Okay. Well, I try to see the good in everybody. That's what Phil did. But some of these people don't seem to have any good. $700 per family for the Maui fire victims, but another billion for a foreign country most of us can't find on a map. I haven't seen the Shawshank Redemption. I think I saw a clip where the food was full of bugs and they ate it anyway. Ew. I'm smoking too much and I'm really tired now. An hour and 48. Yes, hope and love. Either get busy living or get busy dying. That is a good quote. Yes, Toro, you're cute and sweet, but hey, if I open the treats, you know what'll happen. You'll be mobbed by 3 little kittens who have lost their mittens, like the nursery rhyme. Okay, it's time to sign off. Let's see. Oh, a Bruce Springsteen song, In the Streets of Philadelphia. And of course, Philadelphia means brotherly love. Maybe next time I'll do something from the Bible. So it's thank you all for listening and have a great day. I'm feeling better just from chatting with all of you. Thank you all for coming here and chatting with me. It really does make my day. Thank you, Oswald, Milane, Howard, Etsy, Quintia, Dawn, and IB. I gotta go. Uh, Patches, don't walk on the keyboard and don't knock my water over. Ah, cats. I think I better give him some treats.